Steve Gamache with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product video. This time we're looking at the Kohetsu HAP40 Petty 120mm Western handled knife. This line of knives has a core steel of what's known as HAP40 powdered metallurgy semi-stainless tool steel. It has a high heat treat rating of 65 Rockwell, so it's very hard. And the general characteristic of this core steel, it is highly, highly wear resistant and keeps an edge for an extremely long period of time. They've actually, around Mark's household, it grew to be known as voodoo steel because it held an edge for such a long time. It'll be more wear resistant on sharpening stones and be a little more work to sharpen, having that wear resistant characteristic. However, you will be rewarded with extremely long edge retention life. So interesting steel. The construction of this is a stainless cladding over the top of that core steel, and if we get into the camera, you should be able right there to see that. Sorry for the shininess, it's a reflective blade, but there's your core steel line with the cladding. So it's a stainless over semi-stainless construction. The blade itself is very, very nicely finished. You've got embossed kanji on the blade, stamped on the blade, and the fit and finish is really good, rounded, reasonably rounded spine, choil area. It's very comfortable out of the box. The handle, we'll get to that, but let's look at the statistics on the knife itself. The weight on the knife is 81 grams or 2.9 ounces, and the blade length is a little under 120, 117 on the edge. Overall length 9 inches. The spine above the chin heel area here is 2.1 millimeters. And it does have a good little taper that comes down all the way to the end of the blade, so it's a nicely tapered knife. The blade height back here at the heel chin area to the spine is 28.3 millimeters, and the handle is mahogany. So it has a really nice fit and finish on the mahogany handle. There's no bumps or jumps here anywhere on the rivets or the tang, and the bolster is kind of a seamless welded type bolster here that goes right in off the handle. So super nice fit and finish on this knife. It's a very, very nicely crafted knife. It's quite stiff too for the thinness of the knife. The profile, let's take a look at it. It's a short blade, but it's got kind of a mini Gyuto profile with a fairly flat heel section and a little bit of belly towards the tip. It's pretty thin at the edge. This blade performs very, very well. It goes through ingredients quite well. It's a nicely ground blade, and let's look at our little handy-dandy cutting board contraption here. So this has a flat section versus the Kohetsu WA AS handled 120 had more of a continuous curve. So this has a flat heel that I can actually feel as it hits that into the blade. So this actually could do a little chopping on small ingredients. This would be great on a board doing smaller things like shallots, green onions, and I'll talk about this. This is quite different than the WA AS Kohetsu. This is this knife. This one has a much thinner handle that's more akin to a paring knife size, and for me that's a good thing because this could be used in hand. I'm more of a fan of the true like 3.5-inch style paring knives, but for in-hand, but it has a small enough handle on it that you could do some in-hand work with this pretty well. It's pretty long for trying to get into things like hulling strawberries, but you've got enough area here on the choil that you can get your fingers in there and not right up on the heel and cut yourself. So it's kind of, again, got just a slightly oversized paring feel to it, but it's got enough clearance on the board for cutting that it's pretty effective on the board as well. It's a really good all-around knife. The balance point on this, as you might suspect, is way back here on the handle because it's a full tang handle, and so the balance point's way back. It's such a light blade. But that's really almost inconsequential on a blade like this. So very impressive knife. If you want to do some detail work on smaller ingredients, maybe you like an oversized parer for an all-around knife, a utility knife. It's a really interesting and very, very nice blade. It was a pleasure to use this blade. So there you have the Kohetsu HAP40 Petty 120mm knife. So there you have the Kohetsu HAP40 Petty 120 millimeter knife. Oh, let's add more. Oh, the out of the box edge on this, I want to tack that in. We'll add this onto the video. The out of the box edge on this is very, very good. I'll give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. It was very, very sharp. Had a little bit of bite or tooth on the edge. I used it straight out of the box, and it was razor sharp and ready to go. So this knife is just pull it out of the box and start using it. You don't really need to do anything to it, in my opinion. Although if you wanted to get it a little sharper, you could, of course, do that to your liking. So there we have a great knife, the Kohetsu HAP40 Petty 120 millimeter.